Hello, my name is JT Hunter, and I will be doing a series of videos where I'll be talking about my journey with Alzheimer's and my grandmother, and also I'll be sharing some tips, suggestions mixed in the stories that I'll be sharing along my journey. Let me tell you a little bit about how this journey started for me. I was going to school at Marshall for criminal justice. This was in April of 2009. During the weekends, my mother and I would make frequent trips to Beckley, where my grandmother lived, and we would visit and sometimes take her back to Charleston with us for the weekend. On one of those trips, we walked in her house, and it's a house she's lived in all of my life, so at least 30 years she's lived in her home. We walk in and I smelled water overflowing on the stove, burnt water smell, and my grandmother was very frantic, screaming, "Sarah, Sarah!" And we calmed her down and said, "Grandma, what's wrong?" And she said, "I'm trying to get dinner ready, and Sarah's downstairs decorating that darn Christmas tree." Well, what stood out to us was, like I said, this was April, nowhere near Christmas time, and Sarah was my aunt who lives in Charlotte. She was not there. That to us said something's going on, something's not normal age related, that we need to get checked out. It took some time, but then we got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. And I'll be very honest with you, at the time, I knew nothing about Alzheimer's. I had heard about this disease that would make people forget. That's all I knew about it. What I did know was the West Virginia chapter had an Alzheimer's Association office in Charleston, West Virginia. So what I did was I started coming around, volunteering, but for my own reasons, because I knew I needed this information and I needed to talk to those experts and get some education so I could help my grandmother. The executive director at the time must have noticed this, and one day she said to me, "You know, there's an opening here. It's for a receptionist, but I just wanted you to know about it." I was still bartending at the time, trying to finish school. Well, the next day I came in with my resume and asked if I could apply for the job. Somehow I must have charmed them, and I was hired as the receptionist. That started my journey. In my eyes, that got my foot in the door. I started talking to these experts that I met. I started going to education conferences, learning more, and educating myself on the disease. That was about 5 years ago. Now I am the Family Services Coordinator for the West Virginia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of me and my grandmother. My grandmother, I always said, was mom number 2 in my family. I was raised by all females, so she was mom number 2 and very close to me. We had dubbed ourselves the black sheep or the rebels of the family. We were kind of the 2 peas in a pod in our family. We were very close, and she was the matriarch of our family, kind of the head chick in charge. And very stern and very influential in my life. One thing I want to share with you was, like I said, my grandmother was diagnosed in April of 2009. In October of 2009, my sister, her oldest granddaughter, was getting married. My grandmother and I had an interesting conversation on our way up there to the wedding. She told me that her biggest fear in life was losing her mind. That her great-grandmother had lost her mind, and she was terrified that that's what was going to happen. She also told me that she was terrified that she would not have any memory of my sister's wedding, which was coming up in October. That was the first difficult conversation we had together. At the time, I was still new at this, and I said, "You know what, I will just continue to be her grandson and love her," and we found these ways to share what I call moments of joy. It's slightly different than the way we did it before, but we found these ways to make these connections and still have great moments of joy together. We take it day by day, and I'll tell you, in this journey I've taken, I find what works by trying. I've also found what doesn't work by trying, and we're getting through this together with the support of the Alzheimer's Association and our family. I do want to tell you, through this series, I will be sharing stories of myself and my grandmother and what we've gone through, but also in that I want to share and pass on experiences and tips that I've learned through my journey, and hopefully someone out there will hear this or see this and make a connection. I want to tell you, all caregivers out there, I'm a grandson, I'm not a spouse, I'm not not an adult child of someone with Alzheimer's disease. But I'll tell you, anyone who's a caregiver, we are on the same road. I won't tell you I've been in your shoes and done that, but we're on the same journey, we're on the same pathway. So in this series, I will just be passing on things I've learned and just sharing my experiences. If you all have any comments or thoughts or suggestions that you want to pass on or share with me, please do so. My email address is jt.hunter@alz.org. We also have an information email that you can send us any questions at info@wvalz.org. And our phone number, if you have any questions, comments, things you want to ask about, maybe in your journey as a caregiver, please call us at 1-800-272-3900. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and hopefully you'll tune in again for the next series and Ask JT. Thank you very much.